retirement of 7-time champ Jimmie Johnson, who announced that 2020 will be his last season. And, you know, it's something that Jimmie is at peace with.
When I look back on the years I've had so far in NASCAR, I fall back to the experiences and the people. Those are the memories that come to mind, not holding a trophy in victory lane or on the stage in Las Vegas as we did so many times. I know I can give what I need to this team for another year. And then after that, you know, I'm ready to have some time back on my side and just have a better balance in life. I feel very, very good about my decision, and it's time, and it just feels right.
It was no doubt the biggest announcement of the offseason. That would be Jimmie Johnson announcing his retirement. It will be the same during the season. And when 2020 comes to a close, the number one talking point will no doubt be Jimmie Johnson saying goodbye. Caitlin Vincey sat down with a 7-time champ to discuss his decision to hang up his helmet.
Good afternoon. My name is Genevieve Johnson, and this is my sister Lydia. On behalf of our entire family, we would like to thank you for all being here. Today is a very special announcement.
For the last couple of years, I've thought about it. My wife and I sat down and kind of kicked the tires on what life might look like. I got to a spot where I just didn't feel something that was enough to sway it either way. Eventually that moment showed up, and I am so thankful it did, because it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm like, yes. And then after 3 or 4 days of just kind of chatting about it, she's like, you're there. You know this is what you want to do. And it's like, yes, I do.
What's your team owner, Rick Hendrick? What was kind of his reaction to when you talked to him about this?
You know, I'm not sure he wanted to have that conversation with me. And I mentioned why I was at his home a couple of times, and he didn't really respond to me saying what I said to him. So about the 4th time, he's like, so you're serious about this, aren't you? I'm like, I am, boss, I am.
Every time one of these drivers call me and want to come to my house, I know that's not a good situation. Everybody knows Jimmie. He processes everything. Whatever he wanted, I wanted for him. I thought he deserved that from our company, and he's not just a driver to me. He's family.
Years from now, people will be saying, my gosh, I was there for a part of history.
You are looking at 7-time champion. Oh my God! No way! Hey! Yes! Yes!
Is it ever surreal to you to see now what you've done in your career as a professional athlete?
Surreal for sure, without a doubt. I recognize it, my family recognizes it, my friends, and since the announcement, a lot of my buddies from home that I grew up with, I've been able to get back in touch with a little bit more, so there's been some nice reminders of where I started for sure.
2020 is first up, though, obviously, for you, and I'm sure the goals remain the same: win races, go for a championship.
Yes,
right?
Without a doubt. I think there's maybe a little more meaning on it all, too. But ironically, the way the second half of the year went, and the connection, the relationship, the way our team has grown, it has made this an easier decision for me, which I did not see coming. I feel like there's an opportunity here for me to have my Peyton Manning moment, and that's what I want to have.
So, Austin, we haven't had a chance to catch up with you since Jimmie announced his retirement. What did you think when you heard this announcement?
Well, for me, I go back to one of my first stories of Jimmie Johnson. I was coming up, and when you're coming up and you're winning and you're doing good, you think you know what good is. I reached out to Jimmie running for a championship in the Xfinity Series, and during that year, he kind of gave me pointers throughout the year, but he would ask me questions about what the track was doing on Saturdays. And I started to think to myself, I was like, this guy's taking effort to text me on a Saturday after the race to know what is going on to the track during the weekend. I mean, he's raced multiple years, won championship, but he was reaching out to me, and that told me right there that he is a champion, like a 5-time champion, 7-time champion. And when he won 5 in a row during that time period, his effort, his discipline, everything that leads to that, he was able to accomplish because he just cares and he takes extra effort.
Yeah, I mean, was I shocked at the announcement? No, I wasn't shocked. Was I maybe a little surprised? Maybe just a little bit. But I think there's a lot of layers to this. Had he won 2 or 3 races this year, would we be having this conversation? I don't know. I don't even know if Jimmie Johnson really has that answer. But I think one element that goes along with this, and Jeff Gordon has shared this with me, Jeff's still very close to the pulse over there at Hendrick Motorsports, that I think the timing is good, this being the last year with this generation of car. I think with this being his 19th season, I don't know if Jimmie Johnson wanted to step into the era of developing a new car. So I think when you look at all the layers, the timing probably makes sense.
Here's a guy that regardless of what happens in 2020 is a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. But the reality is, despite the fact that he's won 7 championships in 83 races, the last couple of years have not been good to Jimmie Johnson. You see the decline here. So as you look at these numbers, how do you set expectations for his final campaign, Austin?
Well, he said Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning didn't have the greatest years leading up to that Super Bowl that he won. Jimmie Johnson is one of those larger-than-life figures in sports that can pull something out of the hat that you're not ready for. Can he go out on top? I mean, to me, what he's been able to accomplish in his career, it's something that he could go out. He's going to work. He's going to put the effort in. It's not going to be lack of effort. He's going to be there when it counts, and maybe he can go out on top.
Some might say that people outside the garage underappreciate what he has accomplished during his career. How do you think that appreciation might change once he walks away?
Well, I can only answer for myself. And Adam ran the numbers, 83 Cup wins, 7 championships. But to me, the one that just jumps to the top of the chart is 5 consecutive Cup championships. That's never been done. And I know using the word never will be done again can be powerful, but I just don't see that could ever be accomplished again. And you use the word expectations. Yeah, would I love to see this man back in victory lane in 2020? Absolutely. Would I love to see him going for that 8th championship? Absolutely. I just want to see him competitive. I do not want to see 2020 define the career of a 7-time Cup champion.
In referencing the 5 in a row, Larry, you kind of looked down the road, said it's never going to happen again. I want to look in the rearview mirror and have you rate, where does 5 consecutive championships with the level of competition that was in the sport at that time, where does that rank, Austin?
It's domination. A lot of people did not like Jimmie Johnson during that time period because every weekend you knew you were going to have to beat him, and when it came down to it, he was clutch. That group with Chad Canales had built around Jimmie, and those two arguing throughout wins and just making it happen when it needed it. It's probably one of the best moments, long tenures of domination in our sport.
Yeah, add to the level of competition all the different playoff formats that we were going through and all the aero changes. He did it with a spoiler. He did it with a wing. Hell, he did it one year when we ran both. So, I mean, a lot of different configurations. This man won championship.
It was like every year he showed up at Daytona and said, just bring it on. What do you got this year?